Today is December 1st, first day of the month, and we have an absolute banger of an interview for you guys. I'm Jack. Sitting next to me is Oree. Sitting next to Oree is Sammy. I just lied about all of that because we're on Zoom, social distancing, but we have such a good interview. This is by far our best interview yet. You have to listen to all of this. It's about, we did it with Brennen Davis, who's a highly touted prospect in the Cubs organization. Now, Sammy, being our resident Cubs fan, is going to hype him up a little bit before we give you guys the interview. But before he does that, Oree, what did you think about this interview? Because we just wrapped it up. I thought it went well. What did you think? Best interview ever?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, we just wrapped up the interview. It was super, super fun. Brennen is just an amazing baseball player, obviously, but also really a cool guy to talk to.
Totally.
Yeah, so we talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. Gives us a new take because our last minor leaguer was a pitcher, so now we have a hitter, a really good outfielder, just a total package with this guy. So I'll let Sammy take the wheel on this one because I know he really likes it.
I mean, Brennen Davis is the real deal, and it was just so fun to be able to talk to him on this podcast. I'm a Cubs fan. He's been in the system for 2 years now, 3 years now, and he's just a beast. I mean, he's a rare talent because he hits for contact and for power. He does not strike out much, but he also hit 8 home runs in only 50 games. He is an incredible talent, a great defensive outfielder, and we talk about all of this in the interview, so definitely make sure to check it out. But like Oree was saying, the thing that almost impressed me the most about him is just he's a great guy, a smart guy, and the Cubs have this thing. They draft really solid people. Obviously they're great baseball players, and Brennen kind of mentioned this, they draft people who have good character, and it was evident that Brennen was one of those guys. He had phenomenal character. So fun to be able to talk to us on this podcast, and we'll probably be seeing him in the big leagues very soon, maybe next year, maybe 2022. So you guys definitely have to check out this interview. It was fun for us. It'll be fun for you to listen to. Also, if you're a high school baseball player, like all three of us are, Brennen gave some advice to high school baseball players like he once was. So just a really fun time, and just so grateful that he came on the podcast. So definitely listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. Sammy, you said maybe he'll be in the big leagues this year, maybe 2022. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, that's basically like a little bit over a year away. That is crazy.
He is coming up fast. He's going to, and he once he gets there, he is going to be the real deal.
And he's young too. I mean, he's only 21 years old, I think.
21.
But I mean, like Sammy said, like Oree said, like I said, this is the best interview we've ever done. We would really appreciate it if you listen to all of it. And with that being said, here is Brennen Davis of the Chicago Cubs.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Sammy Krimstein, joined with Jack Feldman and Oree Yachin. And today on Chatter from the Cheap Seats, we have a very special guest. We are joined by one of the top prospects in the Chicago Cubs system. He is on the MLB Top 100 Prospects list. It's Brennen Davis. Brennen, how are you doing? What have you been doing since the end of the season? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. End of the season, are you talking about Site B, or are you talking about last year when I had an actual season?
Yeah, since the end of the 2020, like when you were at the alternate site. Yeah, how's it been?
Yeah. So from the alternate site, I took a few weeks off and just kind of regrouped, spent some time with family, kind of cleared the head, and then I went right back into Instructs, caught up with the back half of Instructs. So I mean, cool. It's kind of been go. It's definitely a different off season for me right now, and moving forward, you just have to adjust and make the necessary adjustments to your off season routine. It's just everybody's dealing with it, so
yeah.
All right, cool. So kind of just to get us started here. So just talk about when did you start first playing baseball, and kind of walk us through the path to the pros.
Oof! Wow, taking it. I've been playing baseball all my life. I definitely didn't take it as seriously as I took basketball. I definitely played a lot more basketball. So yeah, growing up, I played Little League. I played at my junior high. I played at my high school. I played here and there club ball, but I didn't play a ton. Played a lot of club basketball, but I started taking baseball pretty seriously my junior / more so my senior year. But I don't know. It was crazy. It was just so much easier to practice basketball, and financially it was hard to get on a club baseball team where I was. So it was a crazy journey, honestly.
Well, yeah, and you were also, like, in high school, an exceptional basketball player. You guys went to the state championship, and you won the state championship, and I think you won Regional Defensive Player of the Year. So what went into this? What went into
state Defensive Player of the Year? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't sell him short here, Sammy.
Yeah, come on.
So what went into the decision to pick baseball over basketball? Because I could imagine, I mean, two sports you're really good at. It's a tough decision, I could imagine.
Yeah, so it was always going to come down to whatever sport I saw myself going further in. So doors started opening up in the baseball world, and that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of the path that I knew I needed to follow because opportunities were presenting itself, and I knew I didn't give baseball the kind of opportunity I gave basketball, and I knew there was a lot more room for growth, and I could continue to improve and be a much better player than I was in high school.
And, when you say, opportunities opened up to you, do you mean, you were talked to more for baseball recruiting, or did some MLB organizations come to you thinking about drafting you? And is that why you veered off of basketball and into baseball more?
Trying to think back. I ended up making the area code team, and I played well at the area code games, and I started getting Power 5 schools reaching out and eventually offering in baseball, and I didn't really get that kind of love in basketball, so I was like, well, I haven't really given baseball the opportunity to be the best player I can be yet, and I'm already getting a lot more opportunities presented. That was kind of my thought process, and I knew if I really stuck to one sport and really gave it my all, I could be something special.
Now, how was your high school baseball experience? Because you hear stories about these professional baseball players in high school that hit 500, hit absolute nukes all the time. Was it like that for you? Were you more of a late bloomer? How was your high school experience?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I always hit for average. I think I hit probably 500 my sophomore year, but I was playing JV. It's not that big of a deal. And then I hit 395 my junior year on varsity, and then I hit 444 my senior year.
Wow.
I think combined I hit 4 home runs. So, I mean, the power wasn't really there. I was a big contact guy.
Now, this is an important question. This is probably the most important question we're going to ask you today. On those 4 home runs, are you a big bat flip guy? How would you rate your bat flips 1 through 10?
I would rate my bat flips at a 2.
Oh, no.
That's not very good.
Not good, no. I don't pimp home runs because I have a lot of friends whose balls get caught at the warning track after they pimped it, and that's just not the kind of guy I am.
Yeah, I have 1 career home run in Little League. I pimped the hell out of it, but, I was a stud in Little League. Like, Brennan, if you can become half the player that I was in Little League, you're going to be a Hall of Famer.
No, that was actually exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was a stud.
Yeah. So, kind of steering the conversation a little bit, what are some of your hobbies outside of baseball? I know you have some pretty cool pets. So, can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah. So I grew up around a lot of animals. We've had so many different animals over the years. My mom's just a big animal person, and we have some land, so it's fun to have different animals. We have an alpaca, a llama, a few goats, chickens.
Oh my God, that's
2
awesome.
dogs, a cat, and yeah, that's all we have right now. But we've had like peacocks, we've had ponies, we've had horses, we've had a little mini pig, we've had bunnies, we've had hamsters. I mean, you name it, that you can get your hands on. I think I've had it over the years.
Wow, it's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've never had any pets, but I mean, I can imagine. I mean, the responsibility there. I mean, it's probably, somehow I can imagine. Do you think that kind of prepares you for the, responsibility of being a pro baseball player? I mean, just.
I mean, pet ownership is a big responsibility,
Yeah.
but I feel like growing up in the household I did and the great influence my mom had on me prepared me to be a pro baseball player over pet ownership.
And so you did you're obviously in the pros now, but you did commit to the University of Miami. So what made you decide to not go to Miami and to go straight to the minor leagues? Because a lot of players do say that they weren't ready and then they'll go college and then they'll go pro. You decided to go pro right out the gate. So what went into that decision?
Yeah, so it was. I mean, that was a tough decision because there's pros and cons with each for sure, and I mean, it took me and my mom a while to discuss, and we obviously had a number like in the draft that we would accept, like that was worth it for me to forego college and start my professional career. But it was also a big factor what like platform I thought I was going to develop better as baseball, because getting an education is awesome, and I had a 4.3 in high school, so it wasn't like I didn't like school, but my ultimate goal was to be a Major League Baseball player, and it was always going to be what route I thought was going to get me there the quickest and the most effective, and which route was going to develop me the best.
Yeah, so once you were a Major League Baseball player, did you make any immediate mechanical adjustments, like right when you made the jump to pro ball, that really helped you?
First year they kind of just saw where I was, and they didn't really touch me a whole lot, but there was definitely stuff I needed to fix. And that off season, I definitely worked with Chris Valleca and Coach Carter a ton on some swing adjustments and changes and stuff I needed to refine to make me a better baseball player. I mean, anybody can say their swing is perfect, but nobody's ever perfect because baseball's such a tough sport. So you can always get better.
And among those small mechanical adjustments, do you think you've made any? What's your biggest step when it comes to your development as a baseball player? Is there something that stands out to you?
I can definitely see how gaining weight has affected my power output. So that's obviously a plus. I think I got drafted at 178 pounds. I'm 208 right now.
Wow.
So I've gained some weight. I don't know. I just kind of try to do everything. So it's not like I try to specifically work on one thing too much. So I'm trying to be an overall all-around player.
Yeah, and in 2019, you hit for power, you hit 8 home runs, but you also had a remarkably low strikeout rate, only rounding up to 19%, which is incredibly impressive. What aspects of your approach do you think really helped you reach that? Because not many guys at your age can hit for power while keeping that low K rate.
Yeah, kind of just how I am as a baseball player. I don't like striking out because you can't do anything when you strike out. You can't help the team. You can't help yourself. There's no positives that come with striking out. So I try to make contact early in the count, and I try to drive the ball. But I don't know. It's just the competitor in me does the best job he can to not strike out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2019 was a great year for you, but in 2020, or not only was 2019 a great year for you, but your team, the South Bend Cubs, they won the Midwest League Championship. Was that a cool experience?
Yeah, it was awesome. Being around that kind of atmosphere and being able to do it with that group of guys, the guys I got drafted with and whatnot, and the new upcoming guys, it was awesome. I had a great time.
Yeah, and some of those guys, I was looking on your Instagram, and you seem to have a really good bond with a lot of these guys that you got drafted with and that are on the team. And what do those bonds mean for you, and how do they help you grow as a player?
Yeah, I mean, those are my boys. So what can I say? Like, it's kind of like if I were to go to college, I would have those teammates that like you form brotherhoods with. But instead, I got drafted and went to pro ball, so those are my guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, able to lean on each other through the rough patches is really what you need as a baseball player, because there's a lot of failure. And I don't know, I thoroughly enjoy being around this group of guys, and I have a great time playing baseball with them.
Yeah, so you not only are a great hitter, but you are really, really good in the outfield, 410 innings without making an error. So when it comes to, playing sound outfield, do you think there's, one major key that you focus on, or is it just a lot of repetition?
Just a lot of repetition. You try to it's a tough thing to like portray in words.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I look at it, defense is the only constant that you can have. You can always be a good defender because you can always hustle. You can always make the right routes, get good jumps because you're locked in. Hitting is the unpredictable part of baseball. So I try to anchor my game through defense, and then like they say in basketball, good defense leads to good offense. So that's the kind of approach I take on it. People might have different opinions on that, but that's just the kind of way I look at it.
And would you say that defense is the part of your game that you take the most pride in, or is there another aspect?
Yeah, I would say defense and being a good teammate.
Yeah.
Just being a good clubhouse guy.
So we're obviously training in the off season and during the regular season.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So I was just saying that, in the off season and in the regular season, do you focus more on hitting or defense? Because you say how, constant your defense is and how great it is. So do you put more emphasis on that, or are you pretty, do you spend your time pretty evenly?
I would say throughout the off season, I'm hitting just to keep a feel, because hitting is such a feel thing, and you can definitely lose it faster than you lose your defensive ability. But ramping up for spring training, I definitely do a lot of defense to make sure I'm sharp and ready to go.
Now, growing up, were you a big baseball fan growing up?
I was and I wasn't. I kind of grew up in a track basketball family kind of deal. So, I mean, I did enjoy watching baseball, but it wasn't like the family was rooting die hard for a certain team, anything like that.
Did you have a favorite team?
I wouldn't say I had a favorite team. I definitely rooted for the D-backs, but my attention was drawn to like wherever Lorenzo Cain was, because he was kind of my guy growing up. I kind of idolized him in a way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, would you kind of say that you modeled your game after Lorenzo Cain, or what do you love about Lorenzo Cain?
I just love the way he plays the game. He plays it hard, he plays it fast, and he does the little things right.
Yeah.
So, obviously in the minor leagues, maybe games aren't as hyped up, but obviously when you have big games, you did win the championship of your league. So do you have any go-to pump-up music? I know that there's a lot of different music go-tos around the league. So do you have, some genre or maybe an artist that you really like to go to before a big game?
I'm definitely a rap guy, but I wouldn't say I like to get pumped up before a baseball game, because if I do that, then things speed up, and in baseball I try to slow things down, because you want to keep your head level and not let the game dictate your pace. So I don't know, I listen to rap because I like it, not because I'm trying to get an adrenaline rush, because as soon as I step on the field, my heart's already racing. So it's kind of self-induced.
Top 3 favorite rap artists.
Top 3?
Top 3. Tough question. We're asking hard-hitting questions here.
Hard hitting questions. Let me go look. I'll give you an actual answer.
Yeah,
Pulling out his list now.
Yeah, give me a
Come
second.
prepared.
We're gonna start with Lil Baby.
Right.
We're gonna go to Young Boy,
Solid.
and then I see people might hate this, but I'm a little Wayne fan. I like his old
Wow.
stuff.
You know, Youngboy gets a lot of undeserved hate, I feel like. Like, I just feel like if you're just scrolling on the internet, like, people really hate Youngboy. For, like, no reason.
I like the beat of his music. He has good beats.
Yeah, and, like, Lil Baby doesn't miss, like, ever.
Yeah, ever. He's just goated.
He's the GOAT. Now, we know you're a big golf player. What do you think is the best part about your golf game? Would you say your short game's the best, your putting, your driving? What do you think's the best aspect?
See, I would love to be able to say that I have a best aspect, but I just don't. So I'm
Kind of
gonna say
whatever's working on that day. It's kind of me too.
and
Except
my willing to come back and play again after.
Yeah, there you go. You got to have that.
yeah, I mean that's kind of me too. Except normally, like all 3 aspects are bad, and like hopefully I'll get a couple shots.
Yeah.
That are good.
Yeah.
I like to mix it up. Maybe a good drive with a shanked iron and a good chip and a 3-putt.
Yeah, pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, so circling the conversation back to baseball. So I'm a huge Cubs fan. So obviously I love the organization. What's your favorite part of being a member of the Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, I love the way the Cubs do it. They hire guys that are very family oriented, so it makes you feel at home when you're with them, and the coaches really care about you, and they draft guys that are good people, not D-bags that just care about themselves. And those are the kind of guys you want to go to war with and go win games with.
All right.
Yeah, and you were at the alternate site this year. What was the vibe at the alternate site between the players? Was it kind of like this kind of sucks, like we're not able to play games, or was it a cool experience?
Oh, it was an unbelievable experience being able to be around that kind of experience level of those kind of guys and be able to take reps off of guys that are AA, AAA, or up and down from the big leagues.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
how are things? Sorry. So how are things run on a day-to-day basis? Was it a lot of live reps? Was it more drill work? Because you don't really hear too much about what was going on these in these alternate sites.
Yeah, so I would get there around 10 every day. We would take a COVID test every other day.
Okay.
So I would get there, I would get dressed, I would do my correctives in the training room, make sure the body was right, and then I would go to the cages. We would do cage work. We would do our routine, working with like our coordinators and stuff. They were always around, always willing to help. And then that would lead into stretch, and then that would lead into defense, and then defense would lead into like either a base running drill or like a extra work drill, like something you needed to do or the coaches thought you needed to work on. And then that would lead into BP, and then after BP, you'd get a short break, and then we would do live ABs. That was kind of how every day went for 3 months.
Yeah, and you're talking about COVID, and before they started the alternate site, what were some things you were doing to kind of stay on top of it and keep getting those reps?
I was actually really lucky. So I had a place to lift and hit during quarantine. So I was in a good spot. So I was ready to go when I got the call.
Wow, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Did you have any go-to guys at this alternate site? Were there some people that you really connected with, and maybe some players that mentored you along the kind of weird, off-putting journey?
Yeah, there was definitely some guys. Ryan, my roommate Juan. I hung out with Justin Steele, Tyson, and Oree. We'd go all the time. Keegan. Who else was there? PJ, Dakota Mekas. They're all great guys. I enjoyed hanging out with them all a lot. And the
Now-
guys that I missed, I mean, it's not that I didn't enjoy hanging out with them. They're awesome too.
Now, do you have any like funny or wacky stories from minor leagues? Maybe on a bus ride in 2019, when you could actually do stuff outside. Or do you have any funny stories from the minors?
Yeah, we show up to the Clinton, Ohio for our championship game against the Clinton Lumberjacks. We get off the bus and the entire city smells like dog food. There's a
Wow.
big dog food plant like up the road, and it just makes the entire city just reek.
Wow. That's really – so where were you guys playing?
Clinton, Ohio.
Clinton,
Or not
Ohio,
Clinton,
okay.
Iowa.
Wow.
Iowa.
That's
Iowa.
really interesting, guys. Who knew? Wow. That's –
Don't go to Iowa. I mean, I just feel like baseball is it's the one sport where like you just go to the most random places, like in the minor leagues. Like there's some of these towns are just in the middle of nowhere, and it's not even in the minor leagues. It's like for our team, like we'll go to tournaments where like literally in the middle of nowhere, all you see is cornfields for miles, and I just feel like
yeah.
like baseball's like the one sport which is kind of cool that you get to like go to places that you never go to without it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so before the pandemic, or like literally right before the pandemic hit, you were at the Cubs spring training. How was that? Like, tell me about, how that experience was for you. It was your first spring training, yeah?
Yeah. So,
Nice.
or like not first spring training up with the big league team, spotty, like spot games here and there. So I actually got to go on their Vegas trip. So that was awesome.
Oh, wow.
I got to hang out with a bunch of the guys, and just being able to see how they go about their business was my favorite part of it. And being on the stage is fun too, I guess.
Top 3 favorite movies.
Ooh, another.
Another top 3.
Hard hitting question, man.
Yeah, Jack keeps coming with these hard-hitting questions.
They're brutal.
That's something I would have to think about. I'm a big Will Ferrell guy right now.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
how about I give you my top 3 Will Ferrell movies?
Top 3
Let's
Will
go.
Ferrell movies.
All right.
Got to go with the classic since it's holiday season, Elf. I would say Land of the Lost, and then Semi-Pro.
Semi-Pro is amazing. I never really liked Elf. I don't get the hype around it. I don't know.
You don't like it?
Oh, come on,
I don't
Elf.
know. I don't get
Good
the hype.
movie. I like it.
Yeah, bug, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say the other guys for me hilarious. But
Oh, the other. I dropped the ball. Other guys is
Yeah.
in there.
I mean, come
I'll
on.
kick out Land of the Lost.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree with that list.
Yeah. Hard-hitting question. But another question. So what's a step that you're hoping to take in the near future to improve your game, or something that you're kind of working on? And yeah. So what are you just a step you're hoping to take in the near future?
I'm always working on stuff, trying to get better, trying to fix mechanical lapses or tweaks that I need to make, get quicker, be stronger, be more athletic. So I'm always trying to improve my game. So I wouldn't say there's anything in specific like fashion that I'm honing in on right now, but I'm just trying to improve myself as a baseball player.
Yeah.
And when you go about improving your mechanics and stuff like that, do you use kind of more old school stuff like just videos and you have your coach, or are you more into the analytics of like looking at every swing and looking at the attack angle and hand speed and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I like to, when I'm working on stuff, I like it to be a little more old school, like feel stuff, because that's kind of how I grew up and how I was kind of taught. So when you bring all the analytics into it, it makes you kind of overthink things a little bit. But I like to be able to check what I've been doing works with the analytics. So I feel like combining them both is the best possible situation.
Yeah, and do you feel like the Cubs organization, is that something that they're, I mean, obviously, the analytics and all the tech, that's something that they've been pretty invested in, right? So is that like, if you wanted to, get all the fancy resources, is that something that the Cubs have?
Oh yeah, Cubs have all the little gadgets and gizmos. Whatever you need, have it.
Yeah, that's great. So, obviously, just a few years ago, which is crazy, you were a high school baseball player. All three of us are high school baseball players. So we'd like to ask you, and a lot of our listeners too, I'm sure, we'd like to ask you some advice, for high school baseball players like us trying to get to the next level, because you're a guy that's found success and, someone that a lot of people would love to listen to.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to tell you something somebody told me in high school. And there's a lot of unknowns, but one thing you can control is your hustle, your work ethic, and your attitude. Don't mope around after something doesn't go your way. Don't ever be the last person off the field. Show people what you're good at and do the little things right. That's kind of what I think scouts and college coaches notice the most. They obviously notice the guy hitting 500-foot nukes, but if you're not that guy, or if you don't throw 99 off the bump, do the little things right.
All right, really cool. Thank you so much.
Or I have one more question.
All right,
here.
go ahead.
One more question. Are you a big fantasy football guy?
You know what? I can't say that I am.
You're not. Okay.
I'm not.
Because I've been looking out to new people to try to work on my fantasy team because I'm in a very dire spot right now. I mean, I'm like, I'm if I win, I'm in the playoffs, but if not, I'm out. So I got a big game coming up next week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I could help, buddy.
Yeah,
I mean that's really like the only reason why we had you on the podcast in the first place is to help you help me with my fantasy football team.
Yeah.
So I mean, this whole thing's kind of a waste now.
Yeah, you just delete it.
Yeah, just scrap the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, just one more thing, and it's a simple question, but I think it could be answered in so many different ways. So, I want to ask you, what do you love most about baseball? Just, that's the question, simply.
What I love most about baseball, I love how challenging it is and how it's like a chess match. You could be a great hitter, but if your approach isn't solid or if the pitcher is exploiting a weakness, like they go through sequences, you try to learn their sequences, you try to get the advantage, and then they change theirs, and then you try to counter and all that. And I think that's a really cool aspect of the game. And the amount, like, I feel like in basketball, one guy could take and just win a ball game. So baseball, you have to rely on teammates, and it's a great team atmosphere, and that's what I really enjoy about it.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Well, yeah, I think that just about wraps this interview up. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure our viewers are going to absolutely love this. It was great to be able to talk to you as a future Cubs fan. I am very excited to see you at Wrigley in a few years and see what you're going to be able to do. Just really fun to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
All right.
Jack, Oree, any last words?
No, just thank you for coming on. Obviously, we'll track your career and hope I wish you luck.
Yeah, I mean, nothing much from me. Just this was really fun to do, and yeah, thanks for coming on. And hopefully, when you're in the big leagues a couple years from now, you can remember me telling you just this sage advice. Just if you become half the player that I was in Little League, you'll be a stud. So
Yeah,
it's really all.
I mean,
all that's
I took it to
important.
heart. Don't worry, it's my goal.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Brennen, for coming on. And yeah, thanks.
Yeah, of course. See you guys.
All right. See ya.